Hello again, this is ST Patrick, and we are back today with some matchup college football. And again today, we're going to do a relatively short video. I just don't feel like it's advantageous to really go through everything with you in a 3-hour recording. I don't think it would be easy to remember or to pick up. So we're kind of doing it piecemeal, which is really fine with me, and I hope it's fine with you. And today, our main focus is going to be looking at the team sheets and sort of me explaining to you what they mean in the context of a play. So we'll basically run 3 plays that will use these team sheets. Now, these are 2 of the free team sheets that come with the free rules as well. You can get those on our Delphi page as well as our Facebook page. And what we're basically looking at is 2022 Georgia and 2022 Wolverines. And you'll see that up here, it just has the year and the name of the school, year and name of the school. That's for trademark and copyright reasons. What I did, though, is I left a space here and I left a space here, which you'll see, so that you can use a PDF editor. Most PDF software these days comes with a PDF editor so that you can put helmets and logos on your papers if they want, so that when you do, they can look something like this. These are the copies that I make for myself. I cannot sell these in any way, shape, or form, but that's what I do for my own versions. But for the versions that everybody else will receive, you still get the team color, so it still feels like the team. At the top as well, you get team information, which includes the record, the coach, where they placed in the conference, whether they are an FBS school, an FCS school, Division II, Division III, or NAIA, or a junior college. Now, yes, that has changed over the years. It used to be Division I, the college division, Division I, the university division. Division II and III have changed over the years. 3 is now sort of parallel with the NAIA. So what we basically go back and do is we try to put that descriptor in modern terms. So you'll see FCS schools, even from well before the FCS began, labeled right here as FCS schools, so that you can kind of keep everything the same and it's not too confusing. You'll see the information for the teams where they ended up that year in the SRS. You'll see their points per game. You'll see their points allowed per game. You'll see this is usually their bowl result. If they were not in a bowl, it is usually the result of one of their highlight games that year. And if they were in the final AP rankings, the top 25 rankings, you'll see where they ended up at the end of the year. You will also see the rival. Now, the rival comes into play. After all, it is college football, right? The rival comes into play on the back side of the page, which I will show you soon. Here's the deal with the rival. I list one rival, but you could make quite a few arguments. So, for example, for the Oklahoma rival, I list it as Texas. Now, Oklahoma could say, well, we're also rivals with Oklahoma State. And yes, you absolutely are. I cannot argue that. SEC fans argue all the time, well, they really have more rival. Well, if you're from Tennessee and you're a Tennessee fan, is your rival Kentucky? Is it Alabama? Or is it the Gators? You may have 3 rivals. If you're the Gators, is your rival Georgia? Is it Tennessee? Is it FSU? Or is it Miami? Well, it can be any of those 3 things. We're really trying to pinpoint a rival. If you have more than one rivalry game per year, that's fine. But what we want to really try to avoid is SEC fans saying, well, all of our SEC games are rivalries because we've been around for so long and it's been a conference for so long. They're all rivalries. We want to really try to avoid that. That's not the point of the rivalry mechanic. And so we want to sort of avoid that happening. It is possible that someone else may have you as the rival, but you may not have them down as the rival. For example, Texas Tech's rival I have on here as Texas, but Texas obviously is not going to list Texas Tech as their main rival. If Texas Tech, however, uses the rivalry mechanic in the game, then you should also use it for Texas. So you should use it for both teams. And again, I will explain the mechanic here in just a few minutes. So rivalries, and I like that about this game, rivalries do come into play and they are important. What you see right here are the play calling mechanics or the play calling ratings. This can go from -8 to a +8. It is not a score. It is not bad or good. It is just how often do they run? How often do they pass? A -8 means that you probably pass over... I'm sorry, I have that backwards. A -8 means that you run the ball upwards of 90% of the time. You will not see this in the NFL. 2017 Army, I believe it was, ran the ball 92% of the time. When we create that team, they will be a -8. If you threw the ball 98% of the time, you would be a +8. No team in history, or at least in the FBS, has thrown the ball 90% of the time. I think the most I've ever found is 2019 Washington State, coached by the great Mike Leach. And I think they threw the ball like 70-something% of the time. So we haven't even gotten up to +8 yet, and I don't think we ever will. But that's what that is. That comes into play when in play calling, which is this chart right here, which is also in the rule book, and I will show you that as well. Now, the teams are split up by quarterbacks, skill positions, offensive line, kicking, kick returning, punt returning, and the defense. Everyone matters in this game. I wanted the second and third string offensive tackles to come into play at some point and to matter in the game. I wanted the 10th linebacker on the team to matter and come into the game, especially in this modern era where a team like Georgia, for example, some of their defensive linemen and linebackers, say the 5th string linebacker, the 6th string linebacker, can play upwards of 200 to 300 snaps a year. So it's important, I think, that they be an active part of the game. I know a lot of games going back to Strat, I believe it was. I think Strat was the first to use this, but just have a general line score. I didn't want to do that, and I don't think that's a bad idea. If there's someone out there that just wants to rack up yards and I just want to focus on my main quarterback and running back and wide receiver, I don't even want to have to worry about the lines. Those games are really good because you really don't have to worry about who's doing what on the line or even who's doing what on the defense for the most part. And I know that's not exactly what Strat does, by the way, so if you're gonna go down and make the comments, well, that's not exactly how Strat operates it. I do understand. I do have Strat, and I know that's not exactly how they do it. But I'm just saying, every player on the team is going to matter for you at some point, and we're going to show you how. So that's everyone on the team. I don't know if you can see this little triangle by the quarterback of Georgia right there. That is what is called the award rating. If you are top 10 in the Heisman that year, if you won the Bednarik Award or the Nagurski Award or the Outland Award or the Thorpe Award or one of the major performance awards, not something like Man of the Year, but one of the major performance awards, or you were a unanimous, and I want to underline that word, unanimous All-American. So top 10 in the Heisman, major award winner, unanimous All-American. You will have an award rating, which is a gray triangle. You'll see 2 right here as well. What that means is when it comes up on the play card, and I'll show you this in 1 minute. When it comes up on the play card and there's a triangle by the play, it is an automatic win for that player if they're named in the play. So again, we'll explain that in just a few minutes. We're going to go over some of the ratings first. Accuracy is obvious. It is how accurate they are. Gain, run comes before pass. So everything is run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. Gain is basically your average. Not hard to sort of figure out that one. The rely rating, I do want to take a little bit of time and explain because I feel like it's important. I wrote an article about this for Sports Sim Magazine. I think the title of the article was On Whom You Can Rely. And it is about the rely rating. And one of the things that's always really baffled me in these games in the past is that this whole idea that we're playing in hindsight in almost every single game. You're playing with teams or athletes that are being rated on their entire year after the entire year has ended. You already know what's going to happen. You already know how they ended up. You all may know it more as a baseball problem, okay? You may all know it all as the Shane Spencer 1998 Yankees problem, where Shane Spencer only has a finite amount of at-bats, but he was fantastic. And he was a fantastic short-term power hitter. So now, if you're playing the 1998 Yankees, how do you use Shane Spencer? Well, a lot of people... and I understand this because I've done this before, so I am in this boat as well. A lot of people might say, well, I'm going to take him and I'm going to maximize his value by I'm only going to use him in certain pinch hitting spots where the bases are loaded, where we need runs, so I'm going to use it. That's not how Joe Torre used Shane Spencer in his first year, though. He was a rookie baseball player who just happened to have that great, 2 months. And Joe Torre did not know as he was going through the process that he would maintain that or that he would even have that to begin with. So he wasn't used like that. We are, in essence, we're kind of like gaming the game, which I'm not a real big fan of in general, which I would do 25, 30 years ago. But it's something after years and years and years of thought and years and years and years of more gaming, I'm really against doing that. So the rely rating basically says, how much did this team rely on him in the season? Now, you could call it a usage rating, and a usage rating might be a pretty good way to describe it, except there are some other things that go into the calculation other than attempts or runs or things like that. So it's not wholly a usage rating. But what that means, it solves your problem of this. Let's go back to the 1981 Oilers, okay? The 1981 Houston Oilers. Earl Campbell ran the ball 361 times. He averaged 3.8 yards per carry, so his gain would be 4. Adger Armstrong was his backup. Again, Earl Campbell ran the ball 361 times. Adger Armstrong, his main backup, ran the ball 31 times. The thing is, though, Adger Armstrong averaged 4.7 yards a carry. So his gain would then be 5. My cat is in the way, so we're going to have to get my cat down. Adger Armstrong would have a gain of 5. So if you're wanting to gain the game, you would obviously wait until like it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, and you would always use Adger Armstrong in hindsight. Here's the problem with using Adger Armstrong like that. I apologize. I have to go let my cat out of the room and then shut the door again. My fault. Sorry. I apologize. That's life as a cat owner. So the problem would be that Adger Armstrong is the person that you would have used in the right spots that year. But Ed Briles, who was the Houston coach that year, would never have used Adger Armstrong that way. He would have given the ball in key moments to Earl Campbell. So how can we get to a point in a game where you want to hand the ball to Earl Campbell, even if he averages a yard less than Adger Armstrong? What we came up with was the rely rating. And so the way it works then is you will pull a card, and it will ask you to test one of these ratings on offense against someone on defense. Or it'll ask you to test a team rating. These are the team ratings against the team ratings of the opponent. So often on a run, it will ask you to test the rely rating. So, for example, Earl Campbell's rely rating would probably be a 10. Adger Armstrong's would probably be around a 1. So you would definitely want, in this game, even though he averaged a yard less, you want Earl Campbell to be handed the ball. Problem solved. It's a long way around, and I know I just really gave you a long explanation, but it was a very long explanation to say, I think we have found a way so that you can coach realistically in the moment rather than always having to coach in hindsight and kind of game the game. So that, I think, is a really cool thing. Again, rely on the runs, rely on the passes. Score. How likely are they to score on a run? How likely are they to score on a pass? The award ratings for the skill positions go right here. Blake Corum was in the top 10 in the Heisman in 2022 as a running back, so he has the award rating right here. Fumble ratings. You want to have a high score. It goes as high as 9. Most of these are going to go as high as 10, other than gain, which can obviously be any kind of an average. Fumble recoveries. These are for offense. The rushing finders are right here. The pass and receiving finders are right here. No, I do not roll the pass finder for every pass. I may roll it at the start of the game to basically see who the starter is going to be, and then I usually leave it. But I do roll the rush and receiving finders as well. That brings up the question quite often, can you call your own plays? The answer is yes. Yes, with a caveat. Yes, you can call your own plays. Yes, you can decide who runs or who you're going to throw to. Yes, you can do all of that. What I would say ever, and I think I'm speaking for most game designers when I say this, is that if you do that, and if you're going to sort of throw off the potential accuracy of how often a player passed, ran, or caught the ball, then we ask to be absolved from all arguments of accuracy, because the games are usually, the games that have automated play calling are usually designed like that to sort of keep the teams accurate. Let's go back to Army for a second. If you're 2017 Army and you run the ball 92% of the time, most of us, again, I'm in this boat, most of us on 3rd and 8 are going to want to throw the ball, and we're basically going to throw the ball every time. That Army team would probably run the ball up the middle, inside run, get 2 yards, punt, and try to play the field. Are you going to do that when you coach that team? Probably not. You're probably going to pass. It's 3rd and 8. That's what we do. So you are kind of, by calling your own plays in a football game, you are going to just naturally, not that this is a bad thing, but you are going to naturally throw off the sort of run-pass balance of that team unless you stringently follow it. And I don't know anyone who does. So, but again, if that adds more enjoyment for you, if that adds more fun for you, if that helps you to enjoy the game even more, then by all means, go that route. But you will see less accuracy as far as how the team performs as that team. The offensive line, here are your starters. They have a run block and then a pass block. They also have an award column. Oluwatimi I think he won the Interior Lineman Award for the Wolverines in 2022. So he's got the award rating as well. The kickers have a kickoff rating, a guide rating, which is used for extra points, a 39 or fewer yards, and a 40-plus yard rating as well. They also have the long, which is important and comes into play. The punters have your average. They have a coffin corner rating under guide, and they also have a long. It really explains that a lot in the rule book. I'm not really going to take a lot of time here to explain special teams yet, not in this recording. The kick returners, punt returners have a burn rating. A burn rating is how likely are they to break one off for a touchdown or an extremely long return. The finder, their average, and their long. The defense has rush defense, pass defense, an award column, and a tackle rating. These tackle ratings are in order. They are in order: linemen, linebackers, and defensive backs. So, for example, it'll say L1, L2, L3, L4, and it'll just go down the order. L1, L2, L3, L4, LB1, LB2, LB3, LB4, and the defensive backs as well. What will happen is, when you draw the card and run the play, it will tell you who the tackler is, and they'll basically be in order. L1s, for example, will be on more cards than, say, an L5 or an L6. So the tackle proportions will be correct. Let me grab the cats again. I'm sorry, my fault. We have a lot of cats, and we love our cats, but they are active little guys, and so they're everywhere. So I'll show you that as well. Here is an interception finder, sack finder, and a fumble recovery finder. These are the offensive team ratings. These are the defensive team ratings. So you might be called upon to match up not only a player rating, but you might instead, or along with, a player rating, or instead of a player rating, you might be asked to match up a team rating. So it might, for example, be passing offense against passing defense. And it just might be straight up with that. And then you will take the dice and you will roll a 1d10, add it to those ratings, and whoever wins the play. So even if you're the lower score, which actually this works right here. Even if you're the lower score, if you get a much higher roll, you could still win that play. So even if you're not the most talented team, you can still win plays here and there. Obviously, if you have higher scores, it's a lot better. The team notes right here, it's a brief history of that team, just to give you a little bit of information about the team. Let's turn these over. Again, I left you a space. Are these on the camera? I think they are. Again, I left you a space right here so that you could insert, if you wanted, something like that. Or for Georgia, something like that on this page. And again, most PDF editors now, or most PDF applications have editors, and they're pretty easy to use. So I suggest it, actually. These are the rare plays. Now, unlike a lot of games that I know and love, these rare plays aren't really meant to be wacky plays. Unless that team had a wacky play occur in a major game that year, and then you will find it on the rare play. The ban can come on the field in 1982 Cal Stanford. It is possible that you roll that. but mostly it should be called a rare players chart. So for anyone to qualify for the rushing finder or the receiving finder, because it is a D20, obviously you have to have 5%. If you are under 5% of the runs or 5% of the receptions, or even 5% of the passes, there's a chance that you will be on this rare plays chart right here. It is also divided. I hand divide this. So if the team ran 82% of the time, 82% of the rare plays are going to be runs. 18% are going to be passes. A lot of things can happen here. I individualize these for every team. I try to learn enough and research enough that these are individualized for every team. When someone asks me, well, why can't you do whole seasons? Well, why can't you just whip out 100 so teams? It's because of this back page for every team. I really do research it and go through it so that this back page is accurate. At the top is fumble offense, fumble defense, penalty rating, plays per quarter, which is how we time the game. You will average the plays per quarter for both teams, and then that is how many you use for the game. A coaching rating. Coaching matters in this game. The coaching ratings will come into play in the matchup, so you hope you have a good career coach. This is the power rating. This is maybe the most important rating in the game. We aren't going to talk about power plays today, but I think next time we discuss this game, it's going to basically be a tutorial of how to do power plays. So, needless to say, this is your basic score. That's the evaluation score for the team as a whole. It goes from 0 to 10. Now, I say it goes from 0 to 10. 1945? Let me think. Yeah. 1945 Army is a 12. They broke the scale. The scale is an Excel sheet that basically is a pretty complex way. It's a pretty big metric that I developed to basically spit out this score. I do not like using strength of schedule by itself. I get asked a lot, well, how do you do strength of schedule? I don't like it as a statistic. I don't know what exactly it tells you. If a team goes 0-10 and they play the top 10 teams in the country and they go 0-10 and they lose every game, they'll still have the highest strength of schedule in the country. And so what exactly can we learn about the team? They had a hard schedule? Sure, but were they a good team? Were they not a good team? Are they bad because they went 0-10 against the top 10? Or would they have done a lot better? Would they have gone 9-1 against teams that weren't in the top 10? We don't know, and strength of schedule doesn't tell you. So I don't really love that by itself. However, their strength of schedule score is one small part of what makes up this. So you can really gauge a lot of things to sort of make the team power scores. There are also a few other teams that score out to over 10, but I don't think there are more than 5 teams. And I've done the power scores. We don't have this many teams yet, but I've done the power scores for, I think 800 teams. And I think that the teams who scored out over a 10, I think there are 5 teams. So it's very rare. They're going to be 0 to 10. 10 is fantastic. 0 is not good. I can tell you what the average is. The average, honestly, is around a 4. So the problem is we get so used to using 10s and 9s and using all these wonderful teams that when a 4 shows up, you're like, oh, it's a terrible team. It's not a terrible team. A 4 is probably a team in a major conference who went 5-5. That is your average team. A 4 could be a pretty good MAC team. It could be a MAC team that went 8-4. A 4 could be a WAC team that went 9-3. So they're pretty good to get a 4. Anything over a 4 means that you had an above average year in many ways. Now, it may not be an above average year for Alabama. It may not be an above average year for Georgia to have a 5. Not when they have a history of 8s, 9s, and 10s. But anything over a 4 is pretty good. And you'll do pretty well. This box, I don't think that you can read it, is Power versus FCS. So you basically, unless you're an extremely high scoring team in which you'll add 4, you basically add 3 to your power score. And this is your power score versus an FCS team. It's one of the pageful of mechanics that allows you to play, for example, an FBS school and an FCS school, and it works. It works like it should, even if the FCS school is a wonderful team like South Dakota State, who are national champions and have very high individual ratings. They're still going to have a tough time when they play a Vanderbilt, an Iowa State, a Northwestern, a Kansas. They're still going to have a tough time against maybe average or below average FBS schools because of the mechanics that we have, which are also in the rulebooks as well, and which we will do a recording on one day soon. You can do power plays. Power plays are like these explosions of offense or defense or special teams. And each team, each game will have a certain amount of power plays. Again, we will explain this the next time we talk. And you have your power plays for your runs, you have your power plays for your passes, you have your power plays for your defense, and your power plays for your special teams. Everybody seems to want to use most of their power plays on offense and rack up more yards. I get it. There is a super advantage to using them on defense. This is where you will find the actual occasions in that year that the team ran back a pick or ran back a recovery or did something like that. Those will all be found here. So if you remember the championship game of this year, Jack Sawyer, a linebacker for Ohio State, had a strip sack on Notre Dame and it ran it back for a touchdown. The 100 roll for the current Ohio State team is Jack Sawyer making a strip sack, recovering it, and running it back for a touchdown. So it is individualized that much. And having to do that, again, this is why it's not just an easy Excel data merge where I could make a ton of teams at the same time. Making a team takes 2 to 3 days if it's not the main project at the time, and it takes 1 to 2 days if it is the main project at the time. It takes a lot because there's a lot involved here. These are the team sheets. I am incredibly proud of these, and I love what they are. Let me show you 3 plays and how they would operate on a team sheet. Let's just say that we roll an inside run. We come up and it says, I don't know if you can read this. I hope that you can. You're going to match up on inside runs at the top, the draw plays at the bottom. You will match up. The red is the offense. The blue is the defense. You will match up the penalty rating for the offense against the rushing defense. The penalty rating for Georgia is a 10. The rushing defense for Michigan is a 6. So they start out with a 10. They start out with a 6. We make the roll. 10 and 1 is 11, but 6 and 6 is 12. Georgia wins this play. The Wolverines win this play. You can see rushing defense. Had Georgia won the play, they would get rusher gain yards, which means whoever the rusher was, they would get his gain amount of yards. However, because the Wolverines won this play, it is offensive holding minus 10 yards, replay the down. That's how you resolve a matchup. That's it. That's the basis of the entire game. Let me show you this card right here, which I find interesting. It would match up quarterback accuracy because it's a medium pass. It would match up quarterback accuracy against the team passing defense. Red offense, blue is defense. Notice that the quarterback accuracy has a triangle by it. And again, the triangle is the award symbol. So you look at the quarterback for Georgia, and he has the award triangle by his name. What does that mean? That means you don't even have to roll. Georgia automatically wins that play. That's why it's great having award guys on your team. Because they win that play, it is a complete pass for quarterback gain yards. The gain is 13 yards. So it is a complete pass for 13 yards. If you wanted to log the tackles as well, the tackles in red right here are made by L3 and LB4. So you go here and you say, okay, the tackles were made by L3 right there and by LB4 right there. And you just go to the names, you mark down the tackle. A lot of people don't keep tackles. I do. I think it's interesting, and I'm a stat geek. But it's interesting game by game, sure, but it's really interesting when you start racking up games and seeing like who's got the most tackles on the year and all that kind of thing. A lot of them are going to use two ratings in the matchup. So, for example, on this medium pass, it's going to test the quarterback accuracy and the quarterback rely. So his accuracy and rely are a 9 combined. It's going to challenge the DB2's pass defense and the DB3's pass defense. Combined, the DB2's pass defense and the DB3's pass defense are a 9 as well. So they're even. If the DB2 or DB3 have the award symbol, they automatically win. They do not. So you're going to roll it out. So you roll it out. They both have 9s. And this 9 wins. So the defense wins. The defense wins. You go to the blue because, again, the blue is the defense. The defense wins. It's an incomplete pass. That's it. You've seen 2 awards back to back. They aren't on that many cards. I just pulled these because I wanted to show you what happened if you pull the award. Overall, it seems to come up, though, at the, depending on how you view the game, at the most opportune or the most inopportune moments. So, in essence, that's how you run 3 plays, the basics. We will, of course, get to the point where we are running entire drives, and I'll actually run the drive on the mat, and I'll show you all of that. But really, today I wanted to focus on the team sheets. So if you have any questions about them, feel free to email. You can email at sportssimmagazine@gmail.com. For information on purchasing the game and the team sheets, it will be in the notes, which you should be able to see right under the video. If you're just watching this for the first time, it would be super helpful if you could hit the subscribe button. That way you'll also know when we do more videos. But it just helps us continue to go. We are not anywhere near monetizing this yet, obviously. And even when we do, it's not going to be much, I am sure. But subscribing at least helps us pass the word. It helps the algorithm, and it helps us just to know that you're out there. So this is St. Patrick for Match Up College Football, and I will see you soon.